think I can check on my cell phone if everything's working. Okay. Hello friends, welcome to Talking Maps, the show where we talk about fantastic maps. I'm your host Maps, and today we have with us the one and only Skyro. Welcome Skyro, how are you today?
Hello there, thanks for inviting me. I'm doing great. Can't wait to get started with this new format.
Yeah, I'm really excited too, because we're gonna, this is a plan. You're gonna tell us a little bit about yourself, how you started with map making, what your experience with map making has been, and then we're gonna talk about map, Dendritic in this case, and then we're gonna play a match on it, so it's gonna be really fun. So let's get started. First question, Skyro, how did you get into map making?
Okay, so this one's simple. So I joined back in Wargroove 1, maybe 1 year before the release of Wargroove 2, something like that. And when I first started playing, I was not very into competitive play. I started playing this single-player campaign, and I just loved the variety of options to make maps that the game provided you. So I started experimenting with that, and eventually I started making some maps I shared in the Discord. Got a lot of feedback from experienced players. And yeah, once Wargroove 2 released, I started being more active in the map making community, and yeah, that's how we got here.
That's how you got here, indeed. Yeah, you're one of the best map makers, one of the best players, and you make it sound easy. So, I wanted to ask you if you ever got into map making before Wargroove. Like, did you ever make maps for other games, something like that?
Not really. Wargroove was the first game of the genre that I started playing in, so no.
Well, that is so cool. So you're quite, I don't want to say quite new, but you've been doing this. I thought you had been doing this for years and years, and that is not the case, right? How many years have you been doing this? Like approximately like 3?
Maybe even less. I'd say 2, because yeah, about 1 year before Wargroove 2 really was released, and up till now. So yeah, 2 years approximately.
That is so cool. I because of how good you are at this, I thought you had been doing it for longer. That's really cool. Next question. In your opinion, what is the most fun thing about making maps? Or tweaking maps, because today we're going to talk about that, like how tweaking maps can also make them more interesting.
Yeah. For me, honestly, as someone that does both a lot of map making and competitive play, the most fun thing to do is making a map and then actually enjoying when you're playing it. That's the most important thing.
It's like a two-step process. Like you make it and then you see if it's fun, or what do you mean?
Yeah, and you learn a lot from doing both things. So you get better at competitive play from making maps because you learn how stuff is supposed to play, and you get better at matchmaking after playing a lot of games. So it's like a process of doing both things and improving at the same time.
That makes a lot of sense. In my personal experience, I'm not good at all, but I think I got at least I got openings down, most openings down, and I see that in my maps. The opening sequences feel very nice, but then the mid game and the late game feel kind of wonky. So I think I should focus more on that. Like what you said makes a lot of sense. You get to learn about the different parts, the different stages of a game, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. And in your opinion, what is the most Skyro thing a map can have? What is like your trademark?
Oh, I don't know how to answer that actually. I think I've got a very unique deco style. That's a thing to consider.
Mm-hmm.
But map making wise, I don't know. I've got a very wide variety of type of map I've actually developed. I've got very basic, standard land maps, and then I've got some very crazy ideas, like one map I made with, I don't know how they're called, Guardians, and some crazy remakes of Wargroove 1 maps. So yeah, there's a lot of variety. I don't know what would be, I think, that you'd see on a map and say, that's a Skyro map, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can ask the chat. So, chat, if you have any questions for Skyro, or if you know what a Skyro thing is on a map, go ahead and comment. Feel free to ask anything. I'm going to be asking Skyro some questions, but you can ask him anything. And we'll be very happy to answer any questions you may have for him. All right, so time to... Well, anything else you would like to say about yourself, about your experience making maps?
No, I actually, once I started thinking a bit more about your last question, I realized one very Skyro thing of a map is having the opening be completely broken the first time you play. Like, I don't think I've had a single map that was supposed to play the way I wanted it to on the very first version. Like, yeah.
You mean that, like, the opening sequence?
Yeah, I usually just miss some very subtle details. Like, I know how I want the map to play, but sometimes you miss some center interaction between the COs, you miss some turn advantage, some very subtle detail that can really affect how the map plays. But yeah, until you actually play the map against someone, you don't really realize about that, at least in my case.
No, yeah, that's true. You have to... I try to make the charts, I try to play test, but yeah, there's always like something you end up missing. Oh, and Mr. Cat has a really cool comment. It's he's saying Skyro's maps are usually very open. And yeah, I still have to try out all of your maps, but I agree, they feel very open, very easy to maneuver in. And I don't know if it's just me, but I feel that in your maps, knights tend to be quite strong.
Yeah, that's actually a tendency. I know I know that's a thing in my maps, and sometimes you will see very harsh terrain around the Raxes because I make the map and I'm like, wow, knights are so busted here. I need to do something about it. So I kind of try to counter myself, my map making style, by nerfing knights. But yeah, it's something I tend to do a lot. So I have very open areas, and then I try to create choke points like in Locus. That's what Mr. Cat is mentioning.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah. Locus, if you take away the small choke point.
yeah. That's a very crazy choke point. Well, but I'm happy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that personally I love that maps are very open, especially for fog. I think it works really well to have like very open sections and then little choke points along the way. And that's something I need to learn to balance, because so far my maps are like way too open or way too choky. So I'm gonna pay attention to how you do it. That's a really cool comment Mr. Cat brought up. All right, so yeah, feel free to ask anything. We'll be asking a few more questions and then we're gonna play a game. So now let's dive deep into Dendritic. And Skyro, you have a task. Describe Dendritic in 10 seconds. 10.
In 10 seconds. So you have a very small maps with a lot of fighting, 3 different fronts, and you have very intense action from the very beginning between the COs. That's it.
Wow, you made it. You actually did it.
That's the best I can do in 10 seconds, I'm sorry.
That was amazing.
I didn't expect the question as well, so yeah.
That was so cool. And yeah, I think you nailed it. That's one of the things I got when talking to you, when you were helping me make my maps. You're so good at like synthesizing things, and I think that translates very well to your map making and map tweaking as well. You're very good at like identifying specific things, like summarizing or synthesizing why this works or why this other thing doesn't work. I think that's very cool. So let's dive deep
Yeah,
into Dendritic.
that comes with experience. Yeah, you kind of also not only experience as a map maker, like I mentioned before, but also in competitive play. So you see a map and you know kind of how it's gonna play.
Just by looking at it, right? How do you do that, or what is the process that that happens in your mind when you see a map and you say, this is going to work like this? How does that happen?
Well, it's mainly little things you can put on a map, so you can see how the center works out, what's the CO pathing gonna be, what kind of units you need early on, what are gonna be the front shapes, etc. So you don't exactly know how the map is gonna play, but you get an idea to start playing, and then once the turns start developing, you can have a more formed idea of what's happening and what's gonna happen next, and etc.
Absolutely, I still need to develop that skill, and as you said, it's mainly a matter of experience, isn't it?
Yep.
All right, so now onto the Dendritic questions. How did you come up with the idea to like update or modify the map so that it works in Wargroove 2?
So Dendritic, in my opinion, is one of the most iconic maps. It's what's featured in Wargroove of War 4, I believe. So it's a very old map.
I saw
one of the best. Yeah, one of Faded's most iconic maps, and it introduces a lot of very unique things that were very difficult to achieve in Wargroove 1. So, for example, the naval combat. So in Wargroove 1, it was only Merfolk versus Merfolk. So in Wargroove 2, you get to, I guess, make that a bit better. The new features allow you for more freedom in that aspect. You get better naval combat. You get, mainly that in the case of this map. So I wanted to update that map because I really enjoyed playing it back in Wargroove 1, and I took advantage of the new features to kind of fix the main problems it had in the previous game.
Yeah, the previous iteration. What would you say the main problems were? You mentioned that naval was limited to Merfolk versus Merfolk. Was that one of the biggest problems, or what else did you notice?
It wasn't a problem by itself, but it was kind of the fix to the naval combat problem. So the map was very limited in that aspect, because if you wanted to introduce a wider variety of units, that would just break the map. So Faded wanted to achieve a map with naval combat, but it was really the best thing you could do, Merfolk versus Merfolk. So for that reason, there was a very choky area in the water area that I wanted to kind of open a bit more.
Yeah, and I think you achieved. And I'm glad Mr. Cat brought this up, because I think that's the main difference. Skyro's Dendritic feels so much more open than the original, I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
It also has to do with the size. So old Dendritic was a bit smaller, so you had less area to work with. So if you keep kind of the same amount of harsh terrain in a wider land areas, you get the feeling of a more open map, which was the idea.
Definitely. Well, I at least in my games, it does feel very open. It feels you have a lot of agency in where to position your units, where to push. Of course, and that's a very interesting thing. There's like a strong side and a weak side that is like marked by the kind of units you can build from the dock. I think that was great, and that is something you included in your version, right? In the original, it was just limited to Merfolk versus Merfolk.
Yeah. In the original, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to ask you that that if you decided to like do that, like to have a strong side with anti-air units and a weaker side with no anti-air units.
Not really. That banning both Harpoon and Frog on the pre-capped port, the pink one in the image, was just a matter of those units would break the game if they were allowed there, because you can build them directly to the right in the case of the pink port, and they get instant value. So air units, for example, wouldn't be able to push off your naval because you can instantly get a harpoon ship there and it zones the whole area. So yeah, it's banning those in one side wasn't the idea wasn't to have a stronger side, but rather having the map not be broken on the naval combat, because one of the main things I wanted to achieve, as I said, was a more healthy naval combat with a wider variety of units.
Cool.
So,
And
yeah.
I think you've done it because at least on the games Barrett has uploaded to or Barrett commented on. I see there's merfolk, riverboats, harpoons, and I think that's it. But yeah, you get a lot of oh yeah, even barges. I saw some. I don't remember who used barges to move around units. Really cool. Like
It's really Barrett, actually.
It was Barrett. Okay.
He's done it a lot. Yeah.
So
and I have to say, I've nerfed it for the next version of the map because it was actually quite broken. You could bring spears and archers directly to the center through that rebuild
I thought
cell.
that was cool, but yeah, it makes sense that you get.
I mean, it's not completely gone as a mechanic, but yeah, now it takes 2 turns because it was a bit too busted. It spikes and archers straight to the center in 2 turns, so yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. But that kind of tech is really cool to see and find, especially like to discover that something that wasn't in the original version is now available. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And the next question I wanted to ask is, what did you want to go for when tweaking this map? I think you have already answered that, but is there anything else? You said like, oh, I need to do this, I need to fix this or add this or expand on this.
Yeah. There was actually 2 central points. One, I have already explained it. It was to improve the naval combat, and the other very controversial thing of the Wargroove 1 version of this map was the center mid of the COs. So there was a lot of discussion. I wasn't around at that time, but I read it afterwards. There was a lot of discussion about turn advantage because usually on a map, especially if it's this small, COs meeting in the center and being able to, depending on the others' decisions, hit the other CO first, that's a very big thing in the opening. So one of my aims was to try and fix that somehow. So that's the main reason it wasn't, the main reason why I placed those river tiles in the center wasn't to allow for barge transport, but rather to make it harder to traverse that area. And yeah, that's one of the small tweaks I made to the center, so it was harder to get turn advantage by hitting the enemy CO there.
Small tweak, maybe, but that makes a big difference. Because yeah, in the replays I saw from, I think, Wargroove 4, yeah, the usually the one who hit first, like who hit commander first with the other commander, usually like steamroll the other one. So
yeah, it's very unhealthy because then you have to back off to heal and the other CO gets a lot of space, and once one CO has control of the center, it's really hard to get them out of there. So yeah.
To get them out of there, what do you mean?
To push them away from the center. So once you've been pushed off and the other CO is in the center, he can bring the army and just kind of stay there. Most of the land eco is in that area. So once you've been pushed off, it's really hard to come back and find it and fight in that area. So you have to prevent that. You don't want any CO to be pushed from the center if they are not making the incorrect decisions.
Absolutely, as you say, if it depends on what the other is doing rather than what you are doing yourself in your game plan, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is a good time to ask you about this. What do you think about that? About commander fighting commander? I see that's a very controversial thing, as you said, and many people seem to like hate it. But I don't know. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think you can imagine. I hate it as. In general, it's very unhealthy to have COs be smacking each other at the very beginning of the game, especially because the one hitting first pretty much always has the advantage. So yeah, it's something you really have to to consider when you're making a map. So in this case, there's no other option but CEOs meeting in the center at some point. So you have to make tweaks in order to that being sort of balanced. It's never gonna be balanced because it depends on the decisions made by players, but yeah, you have to take up for that.
Yeah, I imagine it must have been very difficult, especially in this case, because both CEOs go towards the middle at the same height, I suppose. So they're gonna meet eventually. But I think, I don't know, I might be wrong, but I think commander on commander action is okay, but not in the early game, like maybe mid to late game.
Yeah, of course.
If you find a way to do it, then it's fun. But if you are trying to still cap and you get smacked by another commander, yeah, it's not fun at all.
Yeah, it's not healthy.
Yeah. And what were you feeling when you were creating or tweaking this map? And I am asking you this. I know it sounds quite ridiculous. Oh, what is your feeling? What were your feelings? But I mean, because sometimes I get angry when I'm like tweaking a map or making a map, and because I said I played on this map and it was amazing, but this little thing made it so bad for me. We were talking on Sneaky Stream the other day. I think it was yesterday about this new game, Athena Crisis. And I think it has great mechanics. I think it's a really cool, interesting game. But the UI is so bad. I got so angry.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So
I really don't know what's going on at any point. Like, I'm seeing the game and I don't understand what's happening. It's very terrible in that sense.
Absolutely. And I don't mean to like bash on it or anything like that. But what I'm taking from that is that sometimes I get that feeling and I want to make something because of that, because I feel like no, this could have been great and it wasn't. What was your take on it when you were tweaking Dendritic?
Well, to be honest, my first attempt, I failed miserably. So I wanted to make even bigger changes to the original map and idea. And once I posted it, I got some very negative feedback, and people were right. I agreed with them. It just didn't work. So basically, I tried to make it 2 racks instead of 1 rack, since I was making it a bit bigger. I also made one of the ports, the one that's now pre-capped. In that very early version, it was a exchange depot. So I wanted to explore some wider changes, but it just didn't work because it wasn't Dendritic anymore. So yeah, to sum it up, I failed miserably, and then I had to remake it again. and then I came up with this, which is a version with notable changes, but it doesn't completely change the way in which the map works, which I think is ideal for a port of a map that was very good in Wargroove 1.
Definitely, it still feels like Dendritic. It looks like Dendritic. So yeah, and I think now that you mention it, failing miserably is part of map making.
Yeah.
And I don't know, how do you feel about failing? I think the more you fail, the better you get, or the more you learn. I don't know how to say it. What would you say about it?
Yeah, you actually learn from mistakes, so you have to fail so many times before actually achieving something decent. So you do get used to it. It's part of the process.
Yeah, I think that the faster you get used to that, like disconnecting from mistakes, like, okay, this map was terrible, but that doesn't mean I'm a terrible mapper or whatever it is. The faster you get that, the better you get at map making, and I get that from you very clearly. By you acknowledging, like, oh yeah, it was horrible, it was terrible, everyone hated it.
Yeah.
I think you
actually have to have this self-criticism to say, yeah, what I made isn't good, and I have to improve it, because otherwise you're not gonna get better at any point. And it's also very important to listen to people's feedback, because some people really know a lot more than you, and yeah, you get a lot from that.
Absolutely, yeah. The only way to learn is to make a mess first.
Yeah.
All right. Next question for you. Now let's talk about the gameplay on this map. What comes to mind? What is the first thing that comes to mind when playing on Dendritic for you, Skyro?
Oh, I don't know how to answer that question. I'm always so nervous when I play on this map, because I know that one very small mistake on the opening can be very fatal. You can really get completely run over because of the very key thing I mentioned before.
Uh-huh.
The center interaction is very critical. So you step on a tile you're not supposed to, and you're really gonna get bullied. So yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm like, what am I supposed to do during the opening so I don't lose in 5 turns?
That's something I like about Dendritic a lot. Like gameplay feels so fast, and yes, of course I get it that if you make a small mistake, it like snowballs out of control really easily. But that's something I like. That's something I really like because I don't like long drawn out games. I like sweet short games. And Dendritic, in my experience at least, playing on Test Your Metal, has done that for me.
Yeah.
Like you get like those sweet, intense short games. So I think that's a good thing, and I'm very intrigued that you say nervous. How do you, or why do you feel nervous when playing like this?
Nervous might not be the word, but yeah, you kind of asked me what I think of Dendritic when I'm playing it or when I see it, and it's basically that. I'm like, it's not like other maps in which you can play the very first turns automatically on autopilot and be like, yeah, nothing's gonna go wrong, I know what's happening everywhere. Here the action starts really fast, so you have to make decisions from the very beginning, because otherwise you're gonna get run over.
I love that about your version of Dendritic. And I remember Mastro saying something like that in one of Barrett's streams, that a very cool thing about Wargroove is that, yeah, there's openings, but you always have to be like paying attention to what the opponent is doing. Even if you have your optimal opening down to a T, there's always variations, or maybe something the other the other player's doing that will throw off your balance. So I think that's a very cool thing, and this map reflects it very well.
Yeah. On this map, you're really making decisions from the third turn, really. So you get 2 automatic captures with SEO, and then you have like 3 choices. So yeah, it really starts early on.
Absolutely. Let's see. It's also about memories. This question: what's your favorite memory connected to this map, Skyro? It can be from the first version or from your version.
I'm actually not sure.
Or one thing you like about it, one thing you remember about it.
I remember getting completely wrecked on the first time I played it on Wargroove 1. I was really not experienced, and this is a very complex map, so I don't remember who I played it against for the very first times, but yeah, it's really difficult for a new player, and yeah, I really got run over. It's very hard to manage the very limited resources you have, and yeah, just making the wrong recruits from the very beginning, you're just lost. And I also think I went the wrong path with the CO, so yeah, it was terrible. It's not a good memory.
Who are you playing as?
I don't remember actually. I'd probably be playing with a non-meta CO, so that contributed to being strong. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. The times where we get run over are not like very fun at the moment. But I do have a few memories where I learned a lot, like again from getting steamrolled in different maps with different commanders, and I guess that gets like that helps you understand the game better, understand map making better. But thank you for sharing that, even if it was a painful memory. Now let me ask you about the other way. What is your favorite, or what has been your favorite match so far on Dendritic?
On this TYM, you mean? Or in general?
Yeah, it could be like all time or this TYM, whatever you.
To be honest, I haven't played it a lot outside of TYM, so it will have to be here. I think it will be the one I played against Disobeyed. I played Ragna, and it wasn't a very long game, but I really enjoyed it because Ragna is one of those few COs that allows you to be very aggressive early on, and that's a very fun thing to do on a map like this. So yeah, I basically got to do what I wanted from the very beginning and just lethal him. And yeah, it definitely wasn't very fun for him, but yeah, he was also playing Mercia, I believe. So yeah.
Yeah, Mercia. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about Mercia. In Fog, I've faced a few Mercias in Fog, and it seems to work out a lot better. But yeah, Mercia versus Ragnar doesn't sound very fun for the Mercia player indeed.
Yeah, especially because you don't really get to use the groove to heal, you just die to the Ragnar groove. So yeah, not very fun.
Alright, no, but it sounds... it sounds like it represents this map very well. You said like short, aggressive, like powerful. I think Dendritic is very well represented by like games like that. And
Yep.
now let me ask you about the secrets of Dendritic. What is one thing you are the only one who knows about this map?
I don't think there's a thing I am the only one that knows, to be honest. Being fairly honest, I've been completely destroyed from the opening in every game I've played, so I think everyone knows more of the map than I do. Maybe I'm saving some secrets in case this gets featured in Group of War, but yeah, being fairly honest, I don't have anything prepared just yet.
No secrets on your end. No, yeah, and I get a lot. I get that a lot. People, like some people were telling me about, or asking me about Half Kick Island and the opening, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna share the one I use, but I don't know if it's the optimal. I don't know if it's gonna be good or not. And
that's what we call the map maker's curse.
Yeah,
so we never.
What? Sorry.
The map maker curse. So we never play our maps correctly. It's just something that happens every single time, and Dendritic is not an exception. Even if it's not my map, I remade it, so now I can't play it.
Yeah, and people assume, oh, it's a map maker, so they're gonna be better at it. Maybe not, but yeah, that's a good way to put it. The map maker's curse. All right, chat. If you have any other questions for Skyro, that'd be great. Well, let's move on to the next one. And maybe you have already answered this, but what is your best, or who's your not your best, your favorite commander on this map?
I really like aggressive commanders on this map, so which are actually the ones you don't get to play on serious games, so that's a very nice thing of the map. I like playing Ragnar, as I mentioned before. I've also played Elodie a couple times. Ryota is very fun on this map because everything is so chaotic, you can do a lot of very fun tactics. What else? I like Dark Mercia. Yeah, overall, every single aggressive commander is very fun here because you can actually have a game plan following their group. And
like aggressive non-meta commanders, you mean, right?
Yeah, because to be honest, late game commanders don't really work here. I've played against Sawan, Greenfinger, and he just doesn't get the groove in time. He gets completely destroyed before that happens. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought Sawan was gonna be strong here, but he really isn't. As you say, he needs a little bit more time to be effective.
Yeah.
All right. Dark Mercy. That's an interesting one. I don't think I've ever played as Dark Mercy in any of the TYM games. And I feel it's one of the COs that is like mostly unexplored. Of course, she's low tier, but it would be nice to see her a little bit more in games. And
yeah, Dark Mercia is... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry. What were you saying about Dark Mercia?
No, I was just gonna say Dark Mercia has a lot of potential in this kind of maps because there's always the lethal threat, and that's the thing she does best. And also, if you do eventually get to tier 2, the global damage interacts very well with the naval combat, just like Mercia's tier 2. So yeah, it's a very interesting pick on this map.
It is very interesting, and this takes us to the next question I wanted to ask you. Do you think through map making you can make other commanders like lower tier commanders stronger? Like, do you think it's possible to have like a Dark Mercia map or like an Elodie map where they would be stronger than they usually are?
It depends on the CO. I think you making it so a very specific CO is better than usual on a map is really hard. You can make small maps like this and have aggressive COs be better, but having a CO like, for example, Elodie you mentioned, be stand out compared to the others, that's really hard to achieve. You have to get a very golem centric map in that case, and that's something not really ideal in general. So yeah, it's hard to make underwhelming COs very strong on a map just based on map layout and that kind of stuff. You can try to do it, but I think it's really hard. If it was possible or easy, I think someone would have done it by now. So yeah.
I don't know about that. I get it. I get it that it's not like your usual map design you would follow. But I don't know because and I'm remembering StarCraft. That game, of course, it's different. It's an RTS, but it's still a strategy game. And the way they balanced their competitive scene was through map making mainly, if I understand correctly, because Blizzard patches weren't coming through. They basically like abandoned balance, and they had to do that. Like, they had to balance the three races, Zerg, Protoss, and Terran, through map making, if I understand correctly. So that'd be a very cool idea to try out here. As you said, I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if I'm completely crazy.
I mean, it's for sure possible, but definitely really hard. What usually happens is you have a map without the intention of having a CO be very strong there, and something unexpected ends up happening, like Emeric on open season. Like it was definitely not meant to be that strong there, but it just happened. So
you mean Koya Emeric, right?
Excuse me?
You mean the Koya Emeric we had on the championship?
Yeah, especially Koya, because no one else has been able to pull that strat and make it work. But yeah, it's very hard to do it intentionally. It can happen, but having a CO be like, yeah, I want this CO to be good on this map, it's really hard, I think.
I would love to see map design aim at that, at least for like experimental reasons. Maybe they won't be competitive or not good in competitive play, but I would love to see if that's possible through map design in Wargroove 2.
I mean, you can make Balder really stand out if you have only swords produced.
Oh yeah, that's your idea for the your Halloween map, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is so cool. Yes, I'd love to talk about that map too. Oh, Sparky and Sigmar here. And hello guys, if you have any questions for Skyro, if you want to ask him anything about Dendritic or map making in general, now's the time. So yeah, that's a very good point. At least for Balder, we have a clear path we could follow. Like focus on a map that forces you to have tons and tons of swords, isn't it?
Yeah, don't allow golems, and then he's fine.
Yeah, no golems. All right. And what's your favorite strategy on this map?
Strategy.
I think or game plan.
Yeah, I tend to go very basic. I like to be aggressive, even if I'm not the one that is supposed to be, because it depends on the decisions the other player made. But I really like to be aggro, go win the enemy CO, even if I have to back off later, and really make them stay on an uncomfortable position from the very beginning, because get the opponent out of their comfort zone from the very beginning, it's actually easier to play into that. So yeah, that's kind of the
zone.
Yeah.
What do you mean out of their comfort zone?
So players do usually kind of know how a map plays on the very beginning, just after playing some games or watching them. So if you do something that is not very usual, I'm not talking about any specific move, but yeah, they kind of fall apart, you could say.
Fall apart. Yeah, I've had that happen to me. I usually at the beginning, like 2 months ago, during my first, or 3 months ago, I don't remember, during my first TYM, I had that like one strategy, one game plan, which was like rush to HQ and finish up with Wolfer's Group 2.
Oh, that's very...
I know, it's really basic. It's like really the most onga-bonga you can go, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
But the funny thing is, it worked a couple of times, not like a ton.
Yeah.
It worked a couple of times, but most of the times, like 80% of the times that it didn't work, my plan fell apart. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. So I think that's what you mean by the comfort zone, right? Like pushing people away from their game plan.
Yeah, it's kind of a similarity to what happens in chess. So people really know how the very usually played openings work, but once you make a weird move, get them out of that sequence, if they're not a very good player, they will not know how to continue. And the same applies to Wargroove or any strategy game, to be honest.
I experienced that
Also,
in my own game.
oh,
Yeah?
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's not my strategy at all, but one strategy that really works well or game plan that really works here is air spam. To be honest, you can just get a harpy on every turn, and yeah, and you can get away with it because there's only one Rax, and the opponent can get enough mages. So yeah.
Yeah, and you can only get out harpoons from the like the stronger your stronger naval side. So basically, harpies have like half the map for themselves, isn't it?
Yeah, you force the opponent into building very early mages or even witches. But yeah, not even that can prevent air from punishing your naval because the opponent can also get witches. So yeah, it's complicated.
But it's really cool. It feels very different from other maps because of that, because of how prevalent air units are, at least on half of the map. I haven't seen that in other maps, and that's something I really enjoyed.
That's something usually very unique to one Rax maps because you kind of have to compensate the lack of ground units with something else. So yeah, you do that with naval units at the very beginning, but once you don't need any more of those, you tend to build there.
Makes sense. And to be honest, I have no idea about chess. I mean, I know how the pieces move, and that's it. So, but it's very cool that you mentioned that there's like parallels to chess or ideas that are similar. And that game plan, I think it's something that translates very well. Is there anything else you think would translate well from chess to Wargroove?
Well, yeah, actually, they're very similar, as I said, as strategy games. So in Wargroove, like you would have to do in chess, you really have to think ahead of what's going to happen on the following turns. So you can't only be moving like, yeah, it's gonna be fine for this turn because the future exists. So yeah, you have to be aware of, yeah, you might attack and get every unit in an area, but yeah, reinforces exist. Grooves exist, and you have to be aware of what's going to happen next. You can just be like, yeah, this looks good because I'm killing a lot of stuff. So yeah, thinking ahead is a very key thing on any strategy game, and Wargroove is not less in that sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's something me too. I have to like work on, like visualizing those next turns or next steps beyond the original game plan. Because yes, as I was telling you, if they kick me out of my comfort zone, as you very intelligently called it, I don't know what to do next. All right, so now I want you to help me do something. I was thinking that there's a ton of new players. So, well, not a ton, but quite a few new players, and I wanted to make I don't know if a YouTube short or something like a clip on Twitch showing them the opening for the different maps we're talking about. So, would you like to help me do that? Like, we do the opening for Dendritic.
Okay, let's go ahead. Give me a second.
Yeah, thank you. But before that, could you walk me through it first? Because I think I know it, but
okay.
I'd rather if you tell me what.
You're basically supposed to go center with CO, so you'd capture the village below your CO, the pink CO. From the right, then you'll move into the center, and then after the second capture, you have 3 choices. You can go back and capture the village, the standard village, you could say, or you can go and capture any of the 2 river villages on the center.
So let me see if I got this right. If I'm Briota, I'll go south and capture this village, of course, and north I will go and capture this village, right?
Yeah, the sword doesn't really have many choices at the very beginning, so he'll just go straight to the right.
All right. So, yeah, I think I'm ready. Should we do it?
Okay.
Oh, one last question.
Yeah.
Do you think riverboats should be part of the opening? Or is that something
of course.
else you need to worry about later on? Yep.
Yeah, I think you should definitely get riverboats and prioritize those over merfolk. So one of the very bad mistakes I made in my first EYM game on this map was getting Merfolk because I thought that would be better. But Riverboat is really good because it gets to capture some key villages before the air gets to walk them. So yeah, it's very key. You should get a Riverboat as soon as you can, at least one.
All right, so let's do it. Why don't you go ahead and play your turn, and then during my turn you can tell me what to do, so that people watching the clip or the YouTube short can also follow that. Would you like that?
Yep, let's go.
This is the open
I'm
floor.
taking my turn real quick. And that's it. Okay.
So this one goes here, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to cap that from the left, and then Riora is supposed to enter that village there. Yeah, so he can chain capture towards the center on next turn. And yeah, you have to get a sword here. You can really build it on the right or below, it doesn't really matter, because you want that first sword to go capture the village that is below the HQ. So yeah, it doesn't really matter where you.
All right, and I'm good, right?
That's fine. Yep. Some people will actually use that first sword to capture the village that is backwards on the port, but I think it's better to bring it forward so it can support the CO early on, and then you can capture the backwards stuff with the second CO. So here I get a sword, just like you did, and I get my first riverboat.
Cool. And then I should move this over here, right?
Yep.
Ryota goes to the middle, as you said.
Yep.
And the new sword.
That sword goes. You can do that, or you can go below towards the sea village that's under your HQ. You have both choices. You can do whatever you want, really.
Right,
the
so
good thing about bringing the first sword to the middle is that you can support the CO in case there's some kind of early aggression from the enemy team.
So
the other option gives you the backward capture gives you a bit of extra money for the early turn. It doesn't really matter in my opinion. So yeah, I just go down with that sword.
Here, right?
Yep. And then you get another sword. That one is supposed to go for the backward capture. And then a riverboat, and you're good.
Cool.
There's a viewer bot in chat in case you wanna ban that. I saw someone mention it.
Oh no, yeah. How do I do that?
I mean, it doesn't really matter. Just thought I'd let you know.
Thank you. I muted him, but I don't know how to ban him.
It doesn't matter really. I don't think it will send any more messages anyway.
I hope.
It happens on Barrett's stream as well, and it's usually just one message.
Yeah,
So,
I'll see how to ban him after the stream.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
And
So
then what do we do next?
I'm taking my turn. So here's when the actual choices come. You can see my CO on its current position. You have 3 villages you can go for. One of them is really bad because I'd get smacked just afterwards. That's the one immediately below Ryota. That's not one I want to go for. The one that's next to my sword isn't really a good capture either, because you want that to be the place where you heal next in some turns, if anything. So in my opinion, the best thing to do is go here, so you get some center control and you can smack on the next turn, depending on what they do. And yeah, you just move forward with the riverboat and capture this thing. I usually like to go mage early because of the shenanigans I mentioned before. So yeah, might be a very early mate, but that's what I always do.
Better be safe than sorry. Alright,
Yeah.
so now I go up and capture this, right?
Yep.
And this one goes
You
down.
use that sword to capture that. Yep.
And Rita goes here.
Yeah. Another option you had was capture that last village from the right, so you can actually heal directly with Riora. So,
Oh, yep. Like,
but it
sword-
doesn't really matter. You can heal next turn.
Alright.
So you just capture that and have the other sword capture from the right, and the riverboat will just move towards the enemy villages, and that's it.
Alright, and
So
your
now
sword-
you have to get either a sword or a maid.
You recommend
Any
it,
more
so
enable.
we're gonna go with the...
Yeah, I think that's the
Not with
very
the
wide.
recommendation.
And I don't think you need any more riverboats. Some people do get more, but the truth is you're gonna get pushed off by the harpies. So it doesn't really change anything. One or two river, you're not gonna be able to fight there. So I would just save some money.
Alright, so that's it, right?
Yep. So now, good thing about riverboat is you get this map on the village that Merfolk isn't able to do. You're gonna get pushed off by Harpy next turn, but it doesn't really matter. You get this captured with the sword. I get the nice heal. I'm not afraid of getting smacked by CO because you haven't healed just yet. And yeah. I don't have money for Harpy, so I'll just go Knight.
Cool. Turn 4. And we have a very cool comment by Fly Hyping. He's saying, how does this really... Wow, this really does end the opening around turn 3. What do you say about that?
It's the pure truth. Like, you have to start making decisions and move out of autopilot very early on. You have to make decisions.
Absolutely.
And those decisions are going to have consequences very early on as well, so yeah.
Definitely. This feels like my last opening turn, and I already have to make decisions. I can decide whether or not to decap this or capture my own, right? Like with the riverboat?
Yeah. Overall, I'd say it's better to just smack the enemy village. It's better for Groove, and you're also making the enemy sword back to capture that. You're forcing the Harpy build, so yeah, it's better to just hit.
Absolutely. So this guy would capture the docks, right?
Yep.
This. Then I move the mage towards the center, I suppose.
Yep.
Then I heal.
And then you can heal in front of me, of course, because you're gonna get smacked. So you can. That's the thing. So we went for symmetrical. That's what happens sometimes. So you have to heal from a more passive Tau, which doesn't really make much of a difference because if I wanted to smack that village, you'll be able to smack me back. So
yeah, so
it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I heal from here, right?
Yeah, and then you can have the other sword either move to the right or stay close to Riora. You can also capture that thing. True, I missed it. The village that the riverboat decapped.
Yep, and I can decap the.
Yeah, you can do that, but then you're giving LOD a very free kill, and she'd be staying on forest. So yeah, that's not ideal.
Bad idea.
I just capture that, and then you get a Harpy. So yeah.
Yay.
And that's basically it. From here, it really depends on what you want to do, to be honest. There's infinite
possibilities.
Yeah, to be honest.
No, yeah,
it really branches out.
I love that about this map. It feels again very open. that you have to start thinking like really, really early on. You cannot be on autopilot for more than 3 turns, as Fly Hyping said. And he's saying, I don't think I've seen a map exit the opening so soon. I really like that, but I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think that's like a... Is that a bug or a feature? Like a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a feature, of course. It was calculated. To be honest, it's a thing that also happened with Wargroove 1 Dendritic, so it's not something I've introduced.
Yeah, it's nothing new.
I kind of made it so it's not completely broken once you exit
Good point.
the capture phase.
Oh, Fly Having agrees. The shorter the opening, the better. Yeah, me too. I like that. I like that very much.
And it really allows for a lot of science, to be honest.
A lot of what, sorry?
So, science, opening science.
Oh, yep. Cool. What do you mean?
So when you have a opening that is so aggressive, so sharp, you can really have interesting plan on what you want to do. So you might die from the typical opening even before turn 3 and go for different captures or something like that. So yeah, you have a lot of choices.
Yeah, that's really cool. I don't know if I can visualize that, but it sounds really cool. Like there wouldn't be like an optimal opening, but rather like openings you have when you follow a specific game plan or something like that.
Kind of. The truth is, every map ends up being completely solved at some point, but at least in the current state, there's not, at least that I know of, there's not a consensus of what's the best opening to go for, since it really depends on what the other player does from the very beginning. So it's not like I'm always doing this and it's always going to work. It really branches out.
Cool, that sounds really cool. And that's something I haven't thought about. I thought, as you said, that we eventually figure out the maps, like we have like the optimal opening, we get it at some point, and that's it. But this feels a lot more dynamic and interesting to be, like it's like a very good opportunity to be trying out new things.
Yep.
Cool.
And it seems you're using Barrett's opening.
Me?
He mentioned that on the chat. He says
very
you're
well.
using
I was following Skyro's orders. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, Barrett used this opening against me, and he used Ryota too, and oh my god, he steamrolled me like in turn 6. I had lost the game by turn 6, and it felt...
Yeah, it happened.
What?
It happens. That's what happens.
But it felt amazing. Of course, I lost, but it felt amazing seeing the possibilities of not only Ryota but the opening on this map, and I thought it was really cool. That was certainly food for thought, even after he smacked me to smithereens. All right, last question for you, Skyro, and then Barrett is laughing at me. Good for him.
Go ahead.
Last question for you before we get into the match. So I know 2 questions. Sorry, because I wanted to ask you about this. Like how did you do the how do they call them? Like the ornaments on this map?
The decos, or
decorations. Sorry, decos. Yeah, how did you go about it? I love the bridge. I loved all the little details. How did you do it? Because usually when I'm making mine, I just throw like random stuff around and I see what looks kind of good and I just stick with it and I erase the ones that don't work. But do you have a method?
Not really. The method is trying a lot of stuff and removing it, putting a new thing in until you really like it. But I usually spend more time on decos than I spend on the actual map making. So that's my weakness.
I think it's a strength because look at I love this little bridge. I love the skull here on the at the bottom of the mountain. I really like that, and I thought, well, Skyro must have like put a lot of time and effort into doing this. But if you're saying like it's more like a random thing and then see what works, that's also a really cool approach.
You just try stuff until something is what you don't know what you're looking for, but actually find it. So you have to try a lot of things. And I try to innovate, to say it somehow, with the decos. I try not to repeat the same patterns or the same decos on a specific place. And yeah, with a limited amount of tiles, of sprites, you could say, it's actually hard to innovate on every map. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's something I do. One of my weaknesses when like doing decos, I tend to go for like very symmetrical things, and they end up looking like weird, like almost like a mirror. So I'm gonna do what you said, like throw stuff around and see what sticks, what works better.
Yeah, I usually have it be symmetrical on where the decos at, but the decos themselves, I try them to be different, so they're on the same spot if you see it as a mirror. But yeah, that's something I actually started doing very recently. Before I was doing what you just said. I just place the same deco on both sides and say, yeah, that's
Well,
good.
in this case, it's a very cool mirror because let's look at the mountain for a second. You have like a skull here, and then you have like little pieces of bone, I suppose, over here. So it's not exactly the same. And the same happens here on this flag zone. You see like I suppose like a column or something that fell down, and you see another one here, but it's not the same. So that is something I'm gonna learn from you. All right, and last question, I promise, and then we're gonna play. If you could create the best Skyro map, what would it look like, and how would it play like?
Oh my god, you're asking me so difficult questions. I don't know. The best Skyro map would definitely have a very interesting center. I haven't said this on stream, but the first thing I do when I'm creating a map is making the center. Not in this case because this is a port, but I spend a lot of time creating a center that both looks good and plays good. So yeah, I try to make something different on that regard. I tend to nerf knights a lot, so that's a thing you would see in my best map, definitely. And yeah, a lot of decos, and that's it. Very safe HQs. that's
safe HQs.
Sorry?
Safe HQs?
Yeah, not in this case because the map is 9, but in many of my maps, HQ is really, really safe. Like you could take Heartseeker, for example, where the HQ, you kind of get there once you've got control over the whole. So yeah.
That's a very interesting design choice, and yeah, it makes sense. And I like it personally. I like it when it's more exposed. And I think the only 2 games I've ever taken from you, or one, I don't remember if it was 1 or 2, and it was because of that, because of HQ sniping.
Yeah, it's something that happens. You sometimes don't realize that it can happen, and yeah, you just get sniped.
Personally, I love that, especially in fog. But yeah, of course, I see that, and I think it's great that we have that design choice to say, okay, this map is gonna be like more. You're gonna be able to snipe HQ easily, or this one's gonna be better defended. This one's gonna be pushed back. I think that's a really cool thing, and I would
it allows for a variety of game styles, I guess.
Yeah, game style and not only play style but also design style, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a pain for players that have trouble with the clock, because, for example, I'll have Mastro as an example. He really doesn't want to play Heartseeker on the Groove of War matches because he's so afraid to run out of time at that, and that's part of the result of having the HQ be so far back. You actually have to work for it. It doesn't happen fast, I guess.
Absolutely. I think that's a really cool feature we have on the meta game right now. You can decide like what map fits your style best, like what you're gonna go for. I think that's really cool, and I would love to see more of that, like maps that work best for like that. If you work on your timer faster, or if you want to take your time Yeah, I would love to see that. That's a great
Yeah.
conclusion for this. Any other anything else about this map or about your map making decisions in general, Skyro?
I think we've made a good sum up. I guess nothing else comes to mind.
Yeah,
so,
we
yeah.
could talk about this for hours, I know, but now it's time to play the game. So this is how we're gonna do it. I think. What do you think, Skyro? I think we should go for like first come, first serve. What do you say if I put the code here? Then people can join the game, and we commentate on it while they're playing.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right, so let me hide this for a second.
Take the throne, I don't know.
Barret, Skyro has issued a challenge for you. He's gonna join. Let me see if I typed it in correctly. KGCH. KGCH. Yeah. It's there. Who's gonna join? He's gonna join in.
If you want, we can continue our game while someone joins this one, I guess. They can just let us know in the comments.
Yes, please let us know in chat when you're there.
So in the very case no one joins, at least we've got a game.
We got a game going already. That's true.
Yeah. Okay. So.
No, Barret is busy right now. Well, who else? Who else wants to battle on Dendritic? I was gonna say I shouldn't have listened to you and I should have built another riverboat, but no, you're right, because the harpy's already out, so it would be a waste.
Yeah.
Instead of wasting one, I would be wasting two. And I can slow you down a little bit, but not that much.
Yeah. So here's the funny thing. Normally I wouldn't be able to smack your village because you can just hit me from forest. But since I got a knight, it's something I guess I can afford to do.
Cool. That maybe answers the question, what is one thing only you know about this map?
To be honest, it wasn't planned. It just happened.
Of course. I like to go Kappa here like right off the bat, but I don't know if it's the best thing to do. And I really want to defend this, but I don't want to get smacked by a knight to the face.
You've got a ton of money on this turn. You have a lot of things you can get.
Yeah.
Something I really like about this map is due to the very limited, it's very rare that you get to see golems being built. And since that's a very meta thing to do, it's nice for the variety to have a map in which you're not seeing golems on every map. I guess.
I was gonna say, why do you hate golems so much? But no, yeah, you're right. That we see them everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think. This
you're hitting me.
Huh?
Nothing. I see you're hitting me. Oh, you're healing.
I think it's a terrible idea, but I have a plan. I'm not sure if it's gonna.
No, I think you're fine. After the mage heal, you have. I mean, you spent 300 gold on that, but it's probably worth.
Yeah. That's why I think
Probably. Okay.
The best type of plan. Sparky, you should get it. You should join the match and play against Skyro instead of making fun of me. No, just kidding.
Okay. So how do I hit you without immediately dying? That would be nice.
You're gonna attack from... Yeah, man, no, I positioned my harpy really poorly, I just noticed. Yeah, I could have hit that back, but no.
And now the harpy spam starts.
Well, at least I got a couple of priests on the way.
Yeah.
Should I? I think I should.
Oh, you're healing there.
I mean, is there anything else I can do with that? It's gonna be fodder in 2 turns either way. No, I think I just lost center because of my poor harpy positioning. Well, I don't know.
Oh, harpoon. That's dirty.
I don't know if it's a good idea though, because my original plan, as you know, was like to push, and this is more like a defensive thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you also have to build it on the backward tile.
I think that's a brilliant way to go about it, because you, as you said, you don't immediately get like value, and you don't cut off harpies from half the map for the other player. You have to actually move it out.
Yeah, I think I achieved a very healthy state for harpoon, so I'm very happy about that. It can be good on certain situations, but it's not like completely broken on most small maps, you could say.
Definitely, yeah, it feels really cool. And I don't know, but it doesn't feel. This might be a horrible idea. It doesn't feel that broken to me. Sorry, that it doesn't feel unbalanced or anything like that. It feels, as you said, really good.
Oh, you're healing again.
Yeah,
that's
I
good.
know it.
No, that's actually the best thing you could do, I think.
I don't know. I thought that.
That's a free night. Well, not a free night because you spent 600.
I spent 600 gold for it. Yeah,
but you get the idea.
Yeah. And I don't want to be doing this with Red. What I want to do is like zoom through the middle of the map and then go back or go up or something like that. I don't want to be just like spend my time defending that.
Yeah.
Is anyone in chat? Still seems to be that way in Wargroove 2. The best type plan. Eating first, might join after. Oh, I hope Sparky can join the game. Dendritic in Wargroove 1 was a great map to introduce new players to the game. Oh, what do you think about that? What Fly Hyping is saying. Dendritic in Wargroove 1 was a great map to introduce new players to the game.
Yep.
Because
to be honest, I was. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I didn't join in that era, so I wasn't introduced with this map, but I could see it being good to teach some mechanics to newer players.
Yeah. From your first experience, what I got was that you got pummeled. But I don't know if it was like pummeled in a good way. If you learn a lot, even if you lose a game, I think you don't feel bad and you feel like you're making progress. If you just get steamrolled and you don't understand even why you got that, you got steamrolled, then it's not a good thing. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I learned a very valuable lesson from that game, which was, like I mentioned earlier, how to manage limited resources, because that's a very critical thing on this map. Which I still do wrong on many occasions, but yeah.
I want to hit this. I should really get some harpies going because you're gonna overrun me with yours.
You're actually on the driving seat now, so let's see what I can do to stop you. No, you are. Like we were saying before, having center control is very important, and you have that. So yeah.
I have that right now, but next turn those two harpies are... Well, no, maybe not because... I don't
know. Those harpies are a bit more concerned on getting the naval village at the moment. So.
I'll trust you in that one.
That could change at any moment, but yeah, for now, they are there.
I don't want to mess up that early. I think I'm gonna go another reach. I don't know. And Kappa all day. I feel Kappa feels
more mage.
More mages. Mage power.
There's never enough mages.
Yeah, not on Dendritic at least. How do I go about this? This is the part I'm worse at, like making bad decisions like less terrible.
Yeah.
Because I need to I need to do something about this, but either way I'm gonna lose something. I don't know. I love this. This is my favorite part about strategy games, by the way, like making bad decisions less terrible. No, I think it... Well,
you're fine, I think.
It's fine.
Should be. As Saikoya would say.
Yes. Saikoya should come here and take on the Dendritic challenge.
So what do I do now? I'm for sure gonna injure this, so it's not as annoying.
Fly hyping said it still seems to be that way in Wargroove too.
Yeah, I could see that being true. I wouldn't say it's the most, I mean, the best one to show to newer players first, but I think it can teach. Yeah, but I can see it being very helpful to learn some mechanics, you could say.
Yeah, definitely. What would be the most like newbie friendly map in your opinion?
Actually, that's very hard to answer because the maps that we see as the most simple aren't actually simple, but rather very studied. So it's very hard to get on the newer player perspective and going to be good for newer players also. I think I'm dead.
Are you?
But maybe it could be Headland, in my opinion. Many people disagree, but I think Headland has a relatively low floor, and it can be accessible for newer players. There's probably some better examples of a map for newer players.
Cough, Gilga. What do you think about Gilgamesh? I love that map, but I don't know. Do you think it's like newbie friendly?
I actually disagree. I don't think it's very newbie friendly. I think the opening is very, but once you get past that point, it's actually very complicated tactic wise on the center, and it can be nice for the first turns, but it gets complicated very quickly. It's actually have trouble playing myself. So, oh my god, I actually wanted to end the turn.
No.
Oh, no. I was talking and didn't even realize. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry, we were distracting you. Me too. I cannot play and talk for sure. That's why I wanted someone else to join in. So we could have a chance to keep talking because
that's so bad.
That was gonna happen to me. I can bet. I bet that was gonna happen to me next turn if it didn't happen to you. And maybe we can answer some of the questions we have here before we move on to our next game, if there's a next game. The Subate is saying it's like Monsoon, reaction based at some point.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with that map, but I know it. So
I'm not very familiar.
I kind of, No, I just wanted to say I kind of get what he's trying to say there. Yeah.
What is it? Because I think I didn't. What is it about Monsoon?
He's saying they're very similar because you don't necessarily play the early turns with a pre-built plan, but rather play reacting what the opponent does. It's kind of what we've discussed during the podcast. So yeah.
Fly Hyping said, "Oh no," and the Surveyor agrees with you. Same opinion as Skyro.
What does he agree on?
Seems to be that way. Monsoon is TA because player 2 responds to what player 1 does.
Yeah.
Alright. And no one is joining the game.
If no one's joining, we can just play another one.
Yeah, we could go for that.
If you're up for it.
After turn 4, the map is entirely...
Hopefully, I won't surrender on this one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's do that then. You have the code?
No, if you can...
Yeah, let me send it to you. Did you get it? I sent it on a
DM. Yep, I think so. Yeah, I did. Give me a second.
Sparky has a great question. He's saying, what are your thoughts on mixed base maps? What would you consider basic elements to make those maps fun?
Well, I don't think there are any basic elements base map. They're extremely complicated to make and balance. But in order to make those maps fun, I think the main idea you have seeking for is having players be able to make choices. So one thing I'm not really a fan of on mixed base maps, some people do like those, but I'm not the biggest fan of those, is when you're kind of forced to go through a certain path. You're not free to do whatever you want. You don't have multiple fronts. You don't have multiple ways you can, I guess, prioritize. So yeah, in my opinion, that's the most important thing. Having everything, have little fights going on different parts. I see the cat. We knew that was gonna happen. So yeah.
Yeah, like, what do you mean by little fights? But you said something very interesting. Little fights and choices? Like
Yeah, you
choices?
actually, yeah, in my opinion, you actually want to have, you don't want it to become a rack versus rack map 2 times or 3 times in the map on different places. You want stuff to be able in a healthy way and yeah, have different fronts in which you have small fights and that kind of stuff. It's kind of complicated to highlight basic elements of a mixed base map because they are just the most complicated maps to build. Not basic at all, so
yeah, I love mixed base, and one very key difference I think between, for example, Advanced Wars mixed base maps and Wargroove base maps is that the commander really gives you like a stronger push, and it feels like you don't have what you were saying, that ring true to me. You don't have like many important choices to make because of the commander side is too strong, I think.
yeah. And that's what you sort of try to help, I guess. You want there to be a variety of approaches the players can take, because otherwise it becomes very plain. The main thing of mixed base maps is that they have very different matches every single time. So if you don't have choices, very different approaches. So every match is different on a mixed base map. Sorry. So yeah, not like in a standard land map like Headland, in which the very first turns are 99% of the games the same, I guess. So yeah. I don't really have that much experience in mixed maps, map making, I'd say. I've only made one good one, so maybe others can have a better input on this regard, I guess.
I would love to see mixed base develop. What is your mixed base map, by the way, Skyro? I don't think I have ever played
it. Crowded Windmill. It's the one. Yeah. That's the only one I know.
It's great. I loved it. And that made that's one of the my main inspirations when I made Half Cake Island.
Yep.
I wanted to have something like that, but smaller in scale.
Yeah. It's overall very complicated aspect of map make. So yeah. Like it always happens on matchmaking. Talked about this before. I failed on my first attempt a mixed base map. So yeah, I almost resigned again.
No, please don't.
Thank God. I reacted in time. I'm just unable to do 2 things at the same time. Seems.
Me too.
Whatever.
Yeah. I'll plan it out better next time. Maybe I can like have the guests ready beforehand. I mean like the people playing the match beforehand, or something like that. Because me too. I'm having trouble like speaking. Breathing and playing is hard enough, let alone.
Oh, and I'm seeing a comment from Disobeyed, and yeah, that's the map you immediately broke. But to be honest, that wasn't really my fault as a map maker, but rather that I didn't realize and didn't place it supposed to. So yeah, one player could immediately join one of the was terrible, but it was not intended. So yeah, I get away with it this time.
Disobeyed is great at breaking maps. Disobeyed helped me break half K Gallon in like 2 minutes. And then he pointed
Yeah,
out all the good
map
things.
makers are experts on breaking maps. They do that even better.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
That was one of my favorite experiences making maps, seeing how fast, how well Disobeyed as an experienced map maker was able to like point out all the cheese.
yeah.
Oh, this is a good one. And maybe you can answer while I play my turn, so we can not like focus on one thing at a time. What are your thoughts on Maximum Carnage? Says Fly Hyping. I love that map. What do you think about it?
Wow. Yeah, I think it's a great map. It was my one and only inspiration when I was making Crowded Windmill. So yeah, I think that's exactly how fast-paced map is supposed to play. It has some turn advantage problems, but yeah, that's pretty much impossible to solve on a map that with that complexity. So yeah, I think it's great, and it's especially very fun to play, in my opinion.
I love that map, yeah. And I didn't find about that map until after I had made my first mixed-based map, Half K Gallon. But then I found about it. I played a few matches. I loved it, and I'm trying to implement some of the ideas I learned from that for my new upcoming mixed-based maps.
Yeah.
What should I do here?
One very interesting thing about Maximum Carnage is the HQ positioning. I think it's just great. I think it's based on a Advance Wars map. He kind of adapted it to Wargroove, but even then, that's an extremely difficult thing to do because they are completely different games. Even if you're taking the basic structure, having it work in Wargroove 1, in Wargroove 2 is a really big thing.
Yeah, they're very different games, as you say. XMO mentioned in one of the streams a few days ago that some people were very much against porting like Advance Wars maps to Wargroove because it would like make the game lose its identity. I don't think that would ever be possible, even if we tried. What do you think about it? Do you think like, and maybe you can wait until you finish your turn to answer. what
yeah, I'll try to do that because otherwise I'm gonna.
Sorry.
We don't want that to happen. But yeah, it's not.
Yeah. Sorry? No. Yeah. What do you think about that? Do you think Advanced Wars like ports or versions would make Wargroove feel more like Advanced Wars, or do you think it could lose its identity?
I don't think it would make it feel more like Advanced Wars because there's always gonna be differences. But I think it's good to encourage map makers to make actual new maps, not always based on something already existing. Even though I think it's nice to have some of those maps from time to time, I don't think that's a negative thing. But when you start taking the ideas from a different community, development of the Wargroove community, and as a different game that we are to learn by ourselves, everything doesn't really work the same way. Some things you can only do them on Wargroove. So if you're basing your creations on something already existing on another game, you're really not, I guess, taking advantage of the unique things that Wargroove provides, I guess, as a game. So yeah, I think it's a good thing, but not something that should be done as a norm, to say it somehow.
Yeah, I think again it should be done like exclusively, or yeah, so say as a norm, or that's like the only thing we should do for when designing maps, right?
Yeah.
But you mentioned something really cool. I think it's a great way to not only like get new ideas, but also compare how different both games really are. If you make an Advance Wars map here, you're gonna notice right away. I think that you will see like the distances are different, interactions are different because of critical hits. Combat is different. Walls are different. Of course, we have walls and blobs in both games, but they feel very. I'm not an expert in either of these games, but they feel very distinct to me.
Yeah, and yeah, as you mentioned, very subtle difference of how much infantry moves in the two different games and how you actually capture villages. You can't get away with making a straight port from Advance Wars into Wargroove because it's just not gonna work. In Advance Wars, you usually see cities being very close together because of the more reduced movement of infantry, and here you see very long capture chains for both CO and swords. So yeah, it's very different. And yeah, the actual thing of having a CO is just very huge.
It's huge, and I think it's like the main difference I've noticed is that it's a lot easier to like tilt and break stales because of that. It's really easy to treat it as your stronger side when you have a commander there. Whereas in Advance Wars you had your strong side and your weak side or sides, but it was more based on the map. I think like based on the position of the Raxes and the airport.
Yeah.
Well, how are they called in Advance Wars? No, Raxes too, right? Well,
I'm not sure actually. I haven't played it a lot.
Yeah, I mean the production facilities. Oh yeah, Vard agrees. Using stuff for inspiration is helpful, but direct ports don't really work. Yep.
Yep.
Welcome again and again and again. Alright, my turn. And maybe I should ask you another question while I play my turn. It says... I thought I had another one here. Oh, Fly Hopping says the HQ positioning is peak. I'm assuming on Total Carnage?
Yeah, it's like the most important feature of the map. I'd say it's very unique. Mainly because you can get to the HQ from two different fronts. You can win the naval front and then just overwhelm the opponent, but you can also just push from the land, and you can also get it from there. And that's a very unique thing. You don't usually see HQ being able to be hit by naval units on hybrid maps. So yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you how you feel about that, because you just mentioned that you prefer HQ being further back, being better protected, so I thought you were going to say you hated it, but that's a very interesting take. You like it because of how unique it is and how different it feels, right?
Yeah, it's something I probably wouldn't do myself, not necessarily because I don't like it. It's just not my style of map making, but I think it really works well on that map. So yeah.
Cool, yeah, and that's another very interesting thing to talk about. And the fact that you don't do something like on your own maps, that you don't create your maps a certain way, doesn't mean you don't enjoy that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, every map maker has a unique style, and yeah, as you said, not doing something yourself doesn't mean you're not gonna like it when someone else does it. And sometimes you see someone do something like that you wouldn't have thought could work well, and then you start doing it yourself if you love it. Yeah.
Definitely, it's a really cool way to learn to develop your own map making skills.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you play your turn. If anyone else has a question, if anyone else wants to ask Skyro anything, this is the time on chat.
I need more mages. And more heartbeat,
I went for the double riverboat as I was telling you, but yeah, I think it wasn't worth it. I just delayed.
Yeah, it can work later on, but at the very beginning, you just have no way to support your riverboats against there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fly Hyping has a good one. I love Max Carnage. Maybe I should make a cursed version of it, like I did with 19. Was 19 times 19 and 19x19 maps I love. What do you think about that? Do you think like a total carnage version would work in like for that map size?
I don't know what he means exactly by cursed version. I don't know if I've missed something. I know Fly Sniper has some versions of 19 by 19, but he's referring to right now. So.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you want to tell us more about it, Fly Hyping, that'd be cool. And Barrett has a question to Skyro. If you were given someone else's map and you had to redesign it in your style, which map would you choose and why? That's a great question.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a great question. I'll have to think about that for a bit, but there's a lot of maps I'd like to have a take on. But you don't usually do it unless it's a Wargroove 1 map from someone that's not gonna do it themselves. If you take a map and be like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna take it too well. But
really, I would love if someone did that to me.
I guess it kind of means you don't like it the way it is. I don't know.
I think that's perfectly valid. I mean,
No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I just want to say that's perfectly valid, and that's something we were talking about at the beginning. That like one of the best or fastest ways to learn is like to detach yourself from your maps. You're not your maps. They don't like if a map doesn't work. If something you made is bad, it doesn't mean you're a bad map maker or anything like that. So I think it's a great way to learn. If someone else came. Took your map and made it better. I would love that if anyone did that to me. Feel free.
Yep.
I'm like, I think I messed up. I tell you, playing and breathing is hard enough. Playing, breathing, and talking is impossible for me. Oh my.
Yeah, I already lost a game for that, so I can't. But you're in a very good position.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think so. So I'm still thinking about the map I pick. I think a map that could have a lot of potential if it was redesigned is Ouroboros. I don't know if you have heard of it.
I love Ouroboros. What would you change about it? Or how would you make it?
I don't know what would I change about it, but I think it's got some unique stuff, but it got completely broken on the open. Yeah, it just had some turn advantage as far as I'm aware.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it at its time it was very unique because it was 3 Raxes, very open, very brawly. Center was quite interesting with the wall tiles as well. So it had unique features to it, but it just lacked a bit of balance, I guess. So I don't know how I would approach that and redesign it, but think it's a map I'd like to have a take on, I guess. And it's also not been ported yet, so I might do it myself if the creator is not going to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we should and that's just me, but I think we should normalize that. Like, we should be able to take anyone's map, change it to our style, or do whatever we want to it, and just have another version. Not saying, oh, this is better, or this is I fixed something you didn't fix, but just have it there. I think it would really enrich in the map pool and the design theory we have so far. And,
I think you're right.
I'll let you finish your turn because we have a few more really cool questions here. But
I'm really trying hard not to die here because it's really sharp, really sharp position, and I think it's under control.
Yeah, I think you got it. I shouldn't have moved that there. Yeah.
Oh, you've got a witch. That's something.
That's something. I don't know if it's something good.
It's something to consider, at the very least.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go thief. Let's see if that is any good.
I love thieves here, yeah. Oh, Fly Having is saying redesign Cloak and Dagger.
Oh, I think Cloak and Dagger is too good to be redesigned. I don't even know how.
Too good to be redesigned.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best maps that we've got. So.
How so?
I haven't played it that much myself, but I've watched so many Groove of War matches on its era, and yeah, I don't know what's it's specifically that makes it good, but it just feels good to play and feels good to watch. I think it's got that a very interesting center with the economy and a forward drags. And it allows for different approaches, which again I've mentioned this a lot of times as value myself when I'm playing a map. So yeah, I think it's very good. And I'm pretty sure everyone, well, not everyone, but mostly everyone agrees with it being one of the best maps. So I wouldn't dare redesigning something like that.
I think that's the thing we need to like break down. Like, oh no, it's too perfect, it's too good. Maybe it's too good, and maybe your version wouldn't be as good. But if you want to do it, I think you should go for it and say, okay, this is my take on this, and that's it. I'm not expecting you to like it more or to replace the original.
Yeah.
But I think we should. It's like it would be very cool to normalize that. Variet is saying something really cool. Maybe December TYM should be people doing their own takes on other people's maps. Yes, please do that a thing.
That's a very interesting idea, actually.
Yeah. Santa Claus, like giving someone else a new version of their map as a Christmas gift would be amazing.
Here, I broke your map.
Enjoy. Merry Christmas.
Oh, am I dead? Did you get groove?
No,
or what is
no,
this?
I was thinking about it, but no.
Oh, this looks like death
For me.
for coaching. Yeah. Let's see if I manage to kill you without surrendering.
I think you will. Let's see.
I think I just... Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, Mage Crit will do it. And that's the strength of Dark Mercia in this kind of very centralized maps.
Definitely, yeah. I think we should. Maybe I'm changing the topic too much here, but I would love to see more commanders be buffed or something. I was asking Skyro earlier that if you guys think there's a way to buff commanders through map making. If you have any comments on that, that'd be really cool to hear. And you have another very cool comment / question here. Skyro, it says. XMO says, I'm a huge fan of trying map design call up. Faded and I were working on a fun concept when we passed a map for back and forth and kept filling it out more and running what we had, but it never got over the finish line, sadly. What do you think about that, like having map call-ups?
That's actually something I told you as an idea. Stream format, having some creators being featured and having them they map together, like passing it between each other. I think it's a great idea.
Yes, we should pimp each other's maps. And the format you were talking about was really cool. If I remember correctly, you said something like the first guy is gonna have like 10 minutes to like set the concept. The next guy is going to have like another 10 minutes to like fill it up, work on the like econ or whatever comes next, and then the next guy will have 10 minutes to do the other things, and then the next guy will have like 10 minutes to polish it off. Something like that, right?
Yeah, I think that would be very interesting to see the contrast of styles between map makers and the person that's currently working on the map. What they're doing, why are they doing that, and etc.
Exactly, they can talk about what they're doing at the same time. They're doing, well, maybe not at the same time. Like we try, but the other guys
that doesn't really work.
yeah. But maybe while the next guy is working on their part of the map, they could talk about why the things they did, why they made those decisions. Like that would be really cool to see.
Yeah.
Fly Hyping says that's a cool idea. I'm down to a collab with you. Oh, cool.
Oh, Barret Mapmaker.
Barret Mapmaker sounds really, really cool. Yeah. XMO says my perfect eco science. Once I take that leap into map design again, hopefully soon. Yeah, please. Come back, XMO, and please do that. Make that a thing, Barret. The call-up thing. I'll give you a starting point. Cool. Yeah. We can do that. Like, if you want to give us a starting point, that'd be great. And maybe we can feature it on the stream or do it as an event. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. Sneaky Dragon, yay, welcome. I got the end, finally got home. Welcome. I also love map design constraints. We could make that a thing. What could be like interesting map making constraints, Skyro, in your experience?
I think what XMO is referring to is having a starting point, so you kind of have to work from there. I think that's what he means as.
That makes a lot of sense.
Maybe it might be another thing, like having someone make a map, being able to do it the other way. Not sure.
And I think he answered like design a map where you have to insert challenge, define a terrain template. Yeah, that sounds really cool. That'd be a really cool TYM challenge or a challenge to do on stream. What I want to do for this stream in particular is like have a guest, talk about the map, and then play a match with them or with them commentating it. So we could do this like share ideas, share map making skills, map making experience, get to know each other a bit more, and really see what's going on inside each of us as a map makers, inside our map maker's head. That's really cool, and I think we can learn a lot and like benefit a lot from it. It says, XMO says, make a competitive map where dogs are important, strong units. Let's do this, Skyro. You got the first challenge. What would be a cool constraint? Let's do that, and I'll try to include it in a stream.
Okay. A cool constraint. Give me a starting idea. Like, do a CO constraint, like a
All right, help
rain constraint?
Skyro
Because
out.
there's
Chat, you need to help Skyro out.
there's so many choices. I really can't tell you one right now.
Yeah, how's that called? Choice paralysis?
Yeah.
That's a thing. Like psychologically, we have too many things to
Yeah,
consider.
you asked me so many questions I'm not expecting, and I'm not really good at. Yeah, at that.
Oh, this is a
Inside
good
this
one.
world-
It says
Oh, ballista.
each side is forced to build a ballista.
I don't know if that's healthy, Fly Sniper.
No.
Ballistas any indirect is very, yeah, very annoying.
Eximo says open season would have been a good response to make a balanced map that uses rifles in a non-trivial way.
Yeah, actually. Open season is brilliant, not gonna lie. Like in Wargroove 1, rifles were completely broken, and Wargroove somehow managed to have a map featuring them and make it be balanced and used for competitive. It's like amazing, to be honest.
That was really cool. Maybe we could do that for another unit. Like what Sechem did for Frogs was really cool. Like Froggy Season or Jungle Season rather. That was very cool. A map that makes Trooper good outside of the opening. That's a really cool challenge.
If you want to make Trooper good, you have a map with a lot of islands and nowhere, and that's it. So only Trooper can jump from side to side.
Troopers are good, Sneaky Dragon says. Alright.
Yeah.
So
Troopers are... Sorry?
No, that's okay. Maybe if you don't, if we don't have like a constraint right now, you could issue a challenge in a different way. Skyro, who would you like to see next on this show?
Oh wow. I'd actually have to think about the map I want featured.
All right.
But I'd really love to have Faded Sun here talking about Hell. I think the development process of that map is very interesting. I've seen it go through a lot of different versions, and it's a map that everyone likes. It's been featured in competitive so many years. Like, yeah, so iconic.
Faded on Headland?
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, I'll try to make it happen. I'll try to make that a thing. Alright, so we're coming to the end of the stream. And is there anything else you would like to mention about Dendritic? Skyro, anything else you would like to mention about map design in general?
No, not really. I just like to encourage new people to actually give it a try. Don't be scared of feedback, and yeah, we just need more people.
Don't be scared of feedback. Yeah, that's a great takeaway. And yeah, the more people we have, the better all of this will be. The more fun we'll all have, I think. And yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a blast. I had a lot of fun. Thank you, Skyro. Anything else you'd like to say?
No, not really. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I can't wait for the next episode. And I just want to tell Disobeyed he's not safe. Even if he doesn't make maps, he's gonna be here at some point.
Yeah, you're nowhere. You're not safe at all, Disobeyed. No, just kidding. Cool, thank you so much for the stream. See you next time. And
See ya, guys.
That was Talking Maps.